continue our conversation in the union space. Now, Union Federation Saftu is concerned over the increasing number of COVID-19 infections. It says many employers are not complying with conditions and are placing workers' lives at risk in the pursuit of profit. To discuss these concerns, we are joined by Saftu General Secretary Zwelinzima Vavi via Skype from Johannesburg. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I was just in conversation with Matthew Parks from COSATU, and we spoke about the fact that each day we seem to be seeing reports, either here, we're reporting on it at ENCA or on social media, of businesses that are opening now, whether essential services or now open as a result of the softening of the lockdown regulations, who are not adhering to safety regulations to keep their workers safe. This must be very frustrating to see for somebody in the union space, Mr. Vavi.
Absolutely, but let me just start where you started with the COSATU spokesperson about consultation. You talked about consultation. On our side, we're talking about exclusion, because the second largest federation in the country is not being consulted. The biggest union organizing the industrial proletariat, NUMSA, with 352,000 workers, by far the largest union with paid-up membership in the entire continent, is being excluded from those consultations because it forms part of Saftu. The second largest union in the manufacturing sector, FAU, with hundreds of thousands of members, is also being excluded because it is not part of the net leg arrangement. It has been excluded deliberately. A range of working class formations from Abahlali Basemjondoro to Kolobeni communities, as well as the Assembly of the Unemployed, the women groups, the people fighting against environmental degradation, 240 of them organized through the Working Class Summit are being excluded. The 150 economists who wrote a letter to the president calling for decisive actions to be taken in order to stop exactly what is happening today in the economy are not being listened to and are being excluded. So this thing that there is a consultation is absolutely a lie meant to deceive South Africans that the government have decided to be consultative when it is actually practicing the worst kinds of tokenism and only prepared to speak to the people who are praise singers of the government. So I felt that I must raise that very sharply. On relation to that, again, the level 3 lockdown is going to apply mainly to Saftu members. We are the home of the industrial proletariat. COSATU is the home of the public sector and middle class workers. This is not the COSATU of the 1980s. This has been transformed altogether through the state culture project. Those workers are now feeling that they are now being made the guinea pigs, basically. There's a big push by big business, of course, through the help of the Democratic Alliance, pushing that government must now remove all of the regulations and take us into a normal situation, with absolutely no regard to the crisis that workers are facing at this moment in the economy. Most employers are running roughshod around the regulations of the government. They are not implementing. Workplaces have not been prepared according to the directives of the Minister of Labour, and all of the 7 pointers of the directives, such as social distance in the workplace, rearranging productive lines, making sure that workers have personal protective equipment, high hygiene, appointing health and safety officials to ensure that there is a greater awareness as to how coronavirus is spread. All of that is hardly happening. Where unions are weak, the employers have a free rein to do as they please, and government have no capacity. And we're now speaking also in a situation where the trade union movement itself has been fragmented and weakened and only representing around 24% of all workers in the economy. In the cases of the 76% of workers who are not in the unions, the employers are able to do as they please. So we are quite concerned about this big push, which is now supported by some in Nedle, to basically reduce and move us to level 3 without ensuring that even level 4 produces the result, and that the current spike of increases in relation to the infection is arrested by ensuring that the employers play their role. The employers are not playing their role as we speak, including the government itself.
If I could, unfortunately, time is not with us, but I wanted to bring in a more personal element before we end our conversation. You were one of a few South Africans in leadership positions who tested positive for COVID-19, and that was just last month, quite a few weeks ago. I believe you've made a full recovery, which I'm sure your family and those around you are very relieved about. How has that experience fueled your work in this space, and how you look at a government's approach to COVID-19, and how you are communicating, especially with your members, around the fight against the coronavirus?
I thought that public disclosure and also keeping the public informed about the battle I had to wage against the coronavirus really helped to destigmatize the virus. Even though we're still hearing pockets of incidents where workers are discriminating against each other, including at the family level. But you can imagine if we didn't put faces, in particular public faces, on the coronavirus, we would have been in a much more worse situation. South Africa now are better informed that the virus is a reality. It impacts on anybody. It doesn't matter your social status. And it is a reality that have killed hundreds and thousands of people in other parts of the world, and it has infected over 4 million people all over the world, and therefore we must comply, and that's our plea even at this moment. We must comply with what government is pleading us with. We are exceedingly concerned about the manner in which our people, the black working class in the black residential areas, in the rural areas, seem to be disregarding those regulations, and yet it is in those regulations, it is in the washing of our hands, keeping our social distance, and staying at home and only going out with full mask and gloves, that we will save more and more people from either dying or from being infected by the disease.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Saftu General Secretary Zwelinzima Vavi joining us via Skype from here in Johannesburg.